The story begins on the first day of a new school year inside a huge school in London. At that time, we meet Barbara, the history teacher. Barbara was a slightly older woman, withdrawn and isolated from the entire world around her. She could not stand her fellow teachers, nor even the students she taught. In other words, she was constantly irritated and complaining about everything. On that same day, during a teachers' meeting, a new teacher named Sheba appears, who will be the school's new art teacher. Barbara notices that Sheba has an extremely cheerful and charming personality, and that everyone quickly falls in love with her, which immediately sparks jealousy inside Barbara. Because of that, Barbara spends the entire day secretly watching Sheba around the schoolyard, trying to understand her personality and discover the secret behind her charm. A few days later, a violent fight breaks out between a student named Stephen and another student. When Sheba tries to step in and calm things down, she completely fails to control the situation. But at the perfect moment, Barbara intervenes with her firm and frightening voice that sounds almost like a gunshot, and within seconds the fight is over as if nothing had happened. When Barbara asks Stephen why he got into the fight, he tells her that he fought the other student because he was speaking about Sheba in a disrespectful and inappropriate way. After this incident, Sheba goes to thank Barbara deeply for what she did. From that moment on, the two women become extremely close friends. As soon as Barbara returns home, she grabs her diary and writes that she has started developing strange feelings toward Sheba. At this point, we as viewers begin to realize that Barbara does not want to be just a friend, she wants something more. The next morning, Sheba invites Barbara to have lunch at her house. Barbara feels as if it is the happiest day of her entire life, and her excitement becomes impossible to contain. She rushes out to buy elegant new clothes and even gets a new haircut so she can appear in the best possible way. However, the moment Barbara arrives there, she is surprised to meet Richard, Sheba's husband. Richard is around 20 years older than Sheba. From the very first moment Barbara sees him, she instantly dislikes him and cannot stand him at all. After entering the house and sitting down, Barbara is introduced to Polly, Sheba's daughter. A short while later, she experiences an even greater shock when she meets Ben, Sheba's young son, who has special needs. This entire situation completely changes the perfect image Barbara had created in her imagination about Sheba and her seemingly ideal life. After lunch, the whole family begins dancing and having fun, while Barbara sits away from them in silence, smoking a cigarette and watching them carefully. Richard insists that she get up and dance with them and share in their happiness. But suddenly, Sheba receives a phone call and is forced to leave them to answer it. Once the call ends, Sheba takes Barbara to her private art studio located in the garden so that Barbara can feel more comfortable. There, Barbara gives Sheba several important teaching tips, which causes Sheba to open up emotionally and speak honestly about how difficult it has been raising her children. She explains that one of the main reasons she chose teaching was to escape the exhausting years she spent caring for her son. After Barbara leaves, she once again writes everything that happened in her diary. But on this particular day, she calls it the Golden Star Day, because her obsession with Sheba has started growing dramatically. About a week later, the day of the school play arrives. On that day, Barbara notices that Sheba is late, so she goes searching for her throughout the school. The moment Barbara looks through the classroom window, she experiences the shock of her life, because she sees Sheba together with the student Stephen in a completely inappropriate situation. The sight leaves Barbara frozen in place, unable to react. Moments later, she sees Stephen rushing out of the classroom while Sheba sits there fixing her disheveled clothes. After thinking for a moment, Barbara decides that she has to confront Sheba. She asks to speak with her privately and tells her that she wants to discuss Stephen. When Sheba comes to her, Barbara confronts her harshly and says that what she has done is a crime punishable by law. Then she adds, "I need to know everything from beginning to end so I can help you." At that point, Sheba begins telling the entire story from the very beginning. She admits that it all started with small hints from Stephen. Whenever he received a good grade in art or any other subject, he would tell her that he only achieved it because of her personally. After that, he began staying after class to show her his drawings, most of which were drawings of her. Sheba insists that it all seemed innocent at first, just a student admiring his teacher, until Stephen eventually confessed that he was deeply attracted to her and could no longer hide his feelings. Even though she tried many times to push him away, the thrill of the secret relationship pulled her deeper into it. After finishing her story, Sheba confesses to Barbara that she has wronged both herself and her family, and she begs her not to report the matter to the school principal until after the new year begins. At that moment, Barbara thinks cunningly to herself and realizes that this secret could be used to her advantage in order to control Sheba. So she promises not to tell anyone, but on one condition: Sheba must end the relationship immediately and confess everything to her husband Richard before the school year ends. On Christmas Day, Sheba gives Barbara a simple gift, a photo frame containing a picture of the two of them together. Barbara interprets the gift as a sign of love and a confession of Sheba's feelings toward her. Despite the promise Sheba made to Barbara, she does not end her relationship with Stephen and continues meeting him in her private art studio in the garden. At that time, Barbara's cat, which she loved dearly, becomes seriously ill, and the veterinarian tells her that it only has a few weeks left to live before it dies. Because of this, Barbara turns to Sheba for comfort and emotional support. Barbara then takes advantage of the situation and asks Sheba to do something with her that she used to do with a childhood friend in order to cheer herself up. After that, she asks Sheba to completely relax and stretch out her arms. In that moment, Barbara begins touching and caressing her in a strange and unsettling way. However, Sheba feels that Barbara's behavior is unnatural, so she asks her to get up and leave the studio. At that moment, Barbara notices someone approaching Sheba's studio and quickly tells her to call the police so they can find out who the person is. But Sheba reassures her, saying, "Don't worry, it's probably just the neighbor's son passing by." Suddenly, Sheba's phone rings with a strange ringtone, which immediately makes Barbara suspicious. She snatches the phone away and discovers that the caller is Stephen, meaning that Sheba is still continuing the relationship and never kept her promise. Barbara looks at Sheba with disgust and anger before storming out, boiling with rage. Sheba runs after her and explains that she tried to end things but could not control herself. This causes Barbara to remind her of the huge age difference between her and Stephen, and she threatens to tell Richard everything if she does not end the relationship immediately. Because of this, Sheba promises once again that she will end the affair for good. Afterward, Sheba goes to meet Stephen so they can figure out what to do about their unhealthy relationship. But when Stephen learns that their secret has been exposed, he coldly tells her, "You were just a fling to me, and this relationship is completely over." Those words cause Sheba to suffer a complete emotional breakdown. As a result, she goes to Barbara and stays with her for a few days so Barbara can comfort and support her. During this time, Barbara feels that this tragedy has brought them even closer together and that she is finally getting closer to achieving what she has always dreamed of. But that illusion is shattered when Barbara receives a call from the veterinarian telling her she must come to the clinic to say her final goodbye to her cat. When Barbara goes to Sheba so she can accompany her, she finds Sheba and her family on their way to attend a play at Ben's school. Sheba apologizes and says she cannot abandon her son on such an important day. When Richard becomes irritated and tells Sheba that they are running late, Barbara gives her an ultimatum at the last moment and says, "Think carefully and choose correctly, either me or them." Despite that, Sheba gets into the car with her family and leaves. At that moment, Barbara sees Sheba as a traitor who abandoned her during the hardest moment of her life. After burying her cat and returning to school, Barbara sits alone thinking about Sheba's betrayal. A little later, one of their fellow teachers approaches her and confesses that he is in love with Sheba and deeply attracted to her. But Barbara advises him to completely forget the idea because Sheba is not interested in men at all. She then reveals the entire affair between Sheba and Stephen in full detail. The teacher is left shocked and unable to believe what he has heard. After he leaves, Sheba calls Barbara, apologizes to her, and invites her to dinner so they can reconcile. When Barbara arrives at Sheba's house, Stephen's mother suddenly shows up consumed with rage. She attacks Sheba violently in front of everyone. Stephen's father and Richard try to restrain her and pull her away by force. As the tension between Sheba and her husband grows stronger, Barbara simply sits there watching everything from a distance as though she has nothing to do with it. The next day, the police arrive and take Sheba away, and the story spreads throughout the entire town like wildfire, turning into a massive scandal. On that same day, the school principal interrogates Barbara because she knew about the affair and failed to report it. When he tells her that Stephen's mother is planning to file a lawsuit against her as well, Barbara decides to resign from the school completely and run away from the responsibility. Later, Barbara goes to Sheba's house to check on her, only to be shocked by the huge number of reporters gathered outside. She enters the house to comfort Sheba, who is emotionally destroyed and believes that Stephen was the one who exposed their secret relationship. That same day, Sheba gets into a violent argument with Richard, packs her belongings, leaves the house, and goes to live with Barbara. Barbara then describes this period in her diary as the happiest time of her entire life. One day, after Barbara goes out to the market, Sheba notices pages from Barbara's diary lying in the trash. She starts searching through them until she finds the entire diary and discovers the horrifying truth: Barbara was the one who exposed her by telling their fellow teacher, who then spread the secret everywhere. The moment Barbara returns home, Sheba confronts her and brutally attacks her while screaming at the top of her lungs. As soon as Sheba storms out of the house, reporters surround her from every direction. But Barbara steps in and helps her escape from them. Even so, Sheba finally realizes that she must end this toxic and destructive relationship once and for all, so she decides to return to her home and her old life. In the end, we see a newspaper headline stating that Sheba has been sentenced to 10 months in prison. As for Barbara, she disappears completely, and nobody knows anything about what happened to her. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any new content we upload.